Autonomy is an illusion. Autonomy is an illusion.
Now I know what you're all thinking. The Seahawks have it really good right now. Like, the Seahawks are sitting prettier right now than they ever have all season. You know why that is? Because they're literally just sitting at home doing nothing now. Like, the season's over. They're just kind of chilling. They're having their times. You know, it's just we've moved on finally from whatever the hell we just got done doing. So pray for the Seahawks as, you know, we move into this latest episode of Fans of the West, brought to you by your hosts,
Derf
and Dylan. Mostly just Derf now. Dylan's dead.
Okay.
You noticed last week we didn't have an episode last week because
Unfortunately.
I had COVID for the first time in 3 years of this existing. I got COVID, and it was not fun. It was a disaster, and I pray to God I never have to experience that ever again because that was not fun.
You say first time in 3 years. Did it feel like anything you had pre-COVID? Like
No.
Nothing like that March before
I've never had
everything shut down. Okay.
No. I mean, because like we thought we got COVID before, like at the beginning, like near the beginning of the pandemic,
right?
Because we did get sick, so we were like, oh, maybe this is COVID, but we didn't. We never tested positive when we got it because like tests just came out. Like testing was like kind of a very new thing at that point. So we were kind of just we never tested positive at that point, and then never got anything like super sick after that until. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And like I had 104-degree fever on Sunday, and I had a blanket on, like, because it's fever, you feel cold. So I'm sitting there like sweating, but I'm cold. I literally cannot move my body. It was like, and then I couldn't sleep. Like, you normally, if you're sick, you just go to bed and you sleep it off, right? I couldn't sleep. And the same exact thing happened to my wife after she ended up catching it, like, inevitably. And like, she experienced the same thing. I don't know if this is a symptom or if it was just because we're sick or something, but we could not sleep at all.
Like insomnia?
Yeah, We're just laying there, just like rolling, just kind of like, you're just chilling in bed for like 8 hours, and then it's like, oh, I guess it's morning now. Like, fuck. It was a disaster. So yeah, first time, not fun. So if anyone else has ever got COVID that listens to this, I can finally join the ranks. Did you ever get COVID? Yeah, you got COVID. No, you didn't. Oh, that's right.
The wife did, but I did not.
You did not catch it somehow. Living in the same house, you did not catch it. Good
Same
for
bed.
you. Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you. Well, I'll pray you never catch it because that stuff's not fun.
I hope not. Hope I don't.
I'm not thinking about going and getting another booster now or something. Like, go immunize me or whatever the word is there. Give me all of the shots, man, because I'm done with that. No thanks. Yeah. So we missed a week. So I see that we got a little bit of week 18 recap here, and then we have the wild card round to recap, and then we have one game to talk about for the divisional round because we finally thinned down the ranks.
Yeah.
The Seahawks do not have a bye week; they have a bye month.
Offseason.
Yeah, like months of a bye now. They're just bye. That's the bye they're on. So we still get to talk about a little bit of Seahawks, but moving forward, I guess we'll see how much more football we get to talk about. At least that it's Bills and Seahawks related. We'll see what happens. Can't wait to get to that divisional round matchup to see where your head's at. So if you're ready, let's talk about a little bit of football.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Week 18. And we can
hit that up.
We had the Patriots at the Bills.
Yep.
let's do a quick little what happened there, because that was that was a very interesting game, how that all went down, like just storylines in general and the game itself.
Right. Yeah. So week 18 recap. So if you happen to be living under a rock and you didn't check your phone or check the interwebs, and you're only relying on fans of the week here to give you the information you need, the Bills beat the Patriots 35-23. It was a very emotional pregame. From everything that I saw, the Bills did an awesome job. Celebrating, recognizing the entire training staff. Everyone who was on the field for the Monday night game against the Bengals that literally helped save Damar Hamlin's life. So it was great to see. NFL wide, they did a lot of things for highlighting the threes on the field for Damar Hamlin. They all did like a moment of support and for Damar Hamlin at every game that weekend. So I think that was just awesome to see that. The Bills had the 3 patch on the jersey because he was still in the hospital at that time of the game. So
Lots changed since week 18.
A
Jeez.
lot has changed. So he was still in Cincinnati then, because it had only been 5 days since the incident, the injury. So Bills players definitely had to work through a lot of things that week to get in the right headspace to be able to make it competitive against the Patriots, and they did. Absolutely did. And it all started off with the Bills getting the ball first. Who needs the offense when you have Nyheim Hines back there on special teams, catching the football and just opening kickoff, 94 yards. Here we go, touchdown, baby. So he actually didn't have one but 2 kickoff returns. Second one,
almost impossible.
Second one was beginning of third quarter, or early in the third quarter. So the last time that was done was Leon Washington, and back in 2010, I believe, when he was a Seahawk.
I remember that. Once they brought it up and they said Leon Washington, I remember that. That was a good. I miss Leon. He was fun.
I don't know why I was thinking he was a New York Jet, but that might have been a different Washington.
I think Leon probably traveled a little bit, so he might have ended up there.
So this was So the last time it was 13 years ago. Last time someone had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns, but for a Bills player to get just for a kickoff return for a touchdown, it had been 3 years and 3 months since someone had done that. So it felt like everything was just laid out there, and it was just Bills coming up for to celebrate Damar Hamlin and everything that he has been able to do in this recovery. So Bills to get the win. With the Bills getting the win, that solidified if it's a Bills Chiefs AFC Championship game. It will be a neutral site. A couple days later, they decided it's going to be at Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So if it's Chiefs and Bills in the AFC Championship game, it will be played in Atlanta. And tickets did go on sale today for Bills and Chiefs season ticket members. I do know a couple people that are going, so that if it does end up happening, that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, so on top of the game, in the last week or so, previous to Wild Card Weekend, Damar Hamlin was moved back to Buffalo. He was at Buffalo General Hospital there for a couple of days doing tests. And actually, before the Wild Card game, a couple of days before that, in that same week, he had passed all his tests. Everything was showing, still showing signs of improvement, and he was discharged from the hospital and is at home recovering now. So he did make a little bit of an appearance before the wild card game, I think on that Friday for the team. Just really helps those guys really get back in that football mindset. To see him, in person, I think is a big thing there. So, yeah. So that was week 18, and a couple days following that. So, yeah, it was one heck of a game, and the Bills definitely didn't play their best on offense, but the kickoff returns definitely helped. Up until late in the game, Mac Jones actually didn't play terrible. Until then, then the I think 2 or 3 interceptions kind of locked it down for the Bills, and where this defense stepped up. So
yeah, he two-would the fourth quarter.
He two-would the fourth quarter, yeah. So yeah, and that was that game.
And that pushed the Bills into the second seed over top of the Bengals. So that'll lead us into the divisional round in a little bit. But the other Week 18 game that had somewhat playoff implications was the Seahawks playing the Rams.
Yep.
All in all, it was a god-awful football game. No one really did anything good. It was extremely painful to watch. But classic Seahawks defense, they basically got ran all over by Cam Akers. Lots of, easy passes right over the middle of the field. But Baker Mayfield never ended up even throwing a touchdown pass. But Geno Smith threw 2 interceptions, threw his one deep ball touchdown to Tyler Lockett, which was like a top 5 throw and catch of the season for Geno Smith and just the Seahawks in general there. So a heck of a pass there. But at the end of the day, Jason Myers misses a game-winning field goal. They go into overtime. Quandre Diggs makes an incredible interception, and then they go down. Jason Myers gets his second opportunity in overtime to end the game, and he hits it in overtime, which keeps their playoff hopes alive. And then everybody became a Detroit Lions fan, who they went and spoiled the party for the Packers.
It was great.
And like Dan Campbell said it right there on national television. Like he did a little sideline interview with the person, and she just kind of said like, "What's the mindset now that you guys know that you're eliminated?" And he's just like, "Screw the Packers. Like if we're not going, either are they." Like it's like that's the mentality that we need in the NFL. We need a lot more of that. Like all these coaches are just kind of like, "Yeah, we got to play better on defense." Like, "Oh, we know what we got a challenge ahead of ourselves here. We got it." Nah, man. The Packers, screw those guys. Now, if we ain't going, neither are they. Let's go take them down. I love that. And they did. They didn't play great by any means, but Jamal Williams did rush for 2 touchdowns in that game. He passed Barry Sanders. Take it with what you will, being, the 17th game of the season. So, whatever. I don't lean into that narrative at all. I don't really care. You don't hear anybody saying, "Oh, but what happened to the 14 game records when we went to 16? No one talks about that. No one cares. In like 5 years, everyone's going to forget this even happens. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
So Jamal Williams, really cool for him. They beat the Packers, and the Seahawks go to the playoffs. Do I wish they would have made it? We'll talk about that next. Yeah, I mean, overall that game, the game between the Seahawks and Rams was just a disgusting game, and I really took like no positives away from that, other than Kenneth Walker had another 100-yard rushing game in that one, which was his 3rd game straight with over 100 rushing yards, and he eclipsed 1,000 for the season. He was just really incredible, and he didn't even play the full season. He kind of was just kind of like got forced into a starter role after the Penny injury, which was early in the season. But overall, he wasn't the initial starter. So the fact that he still clips 1,000, got something special with him. I'll be curious to see what the Seahawks do with Rashad Penny this offseason. See if they trust him to stay healthy, or if they're kind of just like, you know what, this sucks. We're done dealing with your injuries. We have Ken now. Have a nice day. It'll be interesting. But I'll get to the Seahawks offseason here in a little bit. But before that, we'll do the wild card. See what happened here in the wild card. We had the Bills faced Skylar Thompson, the third string rookie quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. Boy, oh boy, that was a game. That was a game that did not need to be what it was. Holy cow.
Yeah, this was a game that the more news we got about certain players not playing for the Dolphins, Raheem Mostert was out, Tua still wasn't cleared back. The point spread literally got higher and higher. And it just seemed like this just seems too good to be true. There's no way the Bills are going to blow out the Dolphins by 14 points to cover the spread. Well, they beat them by 3.
And I believe I saw after they scored the first touchdown, like the Bills went up 7-0. Like I think they moved the point spread after that. Like the live point spread was like 24.5. It was insane.
Yeah. So it had everything on writing on the wall said this should have been a blowout game. I did not by any means feel that way. I was super nervous because the Bills seem to always play the Dolphins super weird compared to any other opponent. Or it's a divisional game, so they always play the Dolphins weird. They play the Jets weird. They somehow figured out the Patriots so they can play decent against them. But yeah, so Bills squeaked out a win here. It was an ugly win, but a win's a win. It keeps them moving into the divisional round. So got the win 34-31 over the Dolphins.
Isn't that kind of just like what the Bills have been doing this entire win streak? I mean, I don't think they really haven't had quality wins. I mean, a lot of them has just been like mistake ridden, turnovers, closer than they should be. It's just been kind of like Bills football has just been weird, but they're winning, which is what everyone's saying. Like they're winning, that's all that matters. But boy, have they been close in some of these matchups.
Yeah. I mean, the last really big blowout game was against the Bears.
Yeah. But even then, the first, it started out a little
first
close.
Half, it was tight, yeah.
But they blew them out in the second half, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, that one, Allen threw two picks, I think, in that one too. So, and the interception train did not stop for a wild card weekend either. So, Josh Allen with 2 interceptions and then a fumble that was recovered for a touchdown. Definitely allowed for the Dolphins to stay very competitive in this game, especially after being down by 17 points. The Bills were up 17-0 early in the first half, and a lot changed very quickly with turnovers and that fumble recovery for a touchdown. So that definitely did not help the Bills keep the point spread intact, but that's literally the Bills' Achilles heel right now is these turnovers. The first interception, the deep ball, I put that on Josh Allen. He kind of put it in the wrong spot for John Brown to get. The second one though, that bounced off Cole Beasley. That's on Cole there.
Yeah.
Like Josh put it where he was supposed to. Now the fumble, that again, all on Josh. He's instead of just going down, he's trying to break a tackle, and the ball was kind of in one hand, flopping around everywhere, and there it goes down on the ground, rolling towards the end zone. There goes some giant Dolphins player going to go pick it up and fall in the end zone.
That's like Josh's MO in the playoffs. His entire career, that's been his MO. It's just there's always this one play where it's his brain just malfunctions and he starts doing something dumb and it results in them losing the football one way or another.
Right. It's basically
every year.
Sugar high Josh.
Yeah. Gotta make a play. Gotta make a play. Oh God, here comes pressure. There's a sack. Oh, we gotta do something. Gotta do something.
But yeah, so that was I think the main thing to take away from that game was how many turnovers and just dumb mistakes this Bills team made. But a win's a win. That's as much as the Bills shoot themselves in the foot, they still had decent control of the game. The Dolphins only led for a very short time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but but this game was the longest game I feel like ever of a game that is literally just 4 quarters. It was like 3 hours and 51 minutes or something like that. It was dang near 4 hours.
I don't understand how. Like, I just don't get how that happens. Because I'm watching the game and it feels long, but
Mm-hmm.
it was just like a regular game. It wasn't like they had to do long pauses for things, or there wasn't like egregious reviews. I don't know what slowed this game down so much.
Do you want to know what it is?
What was it?
The passing game.
A lot of
Because
incompletions.
a lot of incompletions.
Fair. Yeah.
There a lot of incompletions in the passing game. And also the amount of delay of games that should have been called in the Dolphins that weren't called in the Dolphins, and they kept burning timeouts. That also slowed the game down.
A lot of turnovers. Usually, right after turnovers, you go
yep.
to a commercial break so you can like swap the, get the offense out there.
There was a touchdown catch that got turned over for the Bills. There was a deep 50-yard pass that got turned over or had reviewed, so that took some time. Where Shakir couldn't maintain possession without the ground helping him. So yeah, there was a couple intense reviews on some things, but yeah, this game just felt like it dragged on forever, and it was like you're trying to stay calm. Granted, I'm trying to keep my wife calm because she's now 32 weeks pregnant, and I'm like,
you can't stress. Calm down.
I'm like, you're okay. Everything's fine. Like, breathe. Don't get too stressed. We don't need any weird things happening right now. We're not ready at home yet.
You have to wait. The cribs aren't set up yet. I still have more painting to do. Stop.
Stay in there, baby. Stay in there. But and then so it was nearly 4 hours. They literally had to push the start of the Vikings-Giants game back by 20 minutes, and then that NFL officiating crew said, or the NFL made the decision, well, we just gotta start this game anyway. The Bills game isn't over, but we have to start this game. We can't postpone it any longer. So
I didn't even know like they started because I finished out the Bills game and I was like, all right, I guess this is over. And I changed channels the other game, and there's like only 13 minutes left. Like I think this game's been going for like 2 minutes. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Didn't even know. I thought they were literally waiting until the game was over. It's like, okay, maybe they'll kick off now. I was like, oh nope, they already did. Right. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, okay, here we go. So, and then the last thing, kind of what we just kind of talked about with the passing attack. This Bills offense struggled if they weren't making explosive plays. It was a very heavy passing attack on offense, which in turn puts more pressure on the defense because the Bills couldn't sustain long drives and were going deep pass, short slant, punt. That is definitely something that I feel like was something they just try to do differently against Dolphins. I don't know why they try to do it differently against Dolphins.
I think they were testing it out for next week when they play the Bengals.
Probably.
Because they could probably get away with a passing attack like that against the Bengals secondary, but the Dolphin secondary is not the Bengals secondary. It's a lot harder.
There was something like deep on the left side that Ken Dorsey and Josh Allen kept attacking.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it worked. Most of the time, I would say there was
30% of the time it works all the time,
right? But there was no balance on the offense. There was no run game besides like the James Cook touchdown run, which I thought was great. Like Allen really sold the read option there, and Cook was able to get out and just take off. And then the the 8-yard run for Devin Singletary to seal the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like those were the only. I think those were the only two major points in the run game for the Bills offense that were, that helped. That were, that were a little break from the offense to not have to protect Josh for 5, 6, 7 seconds. But yeah, I got the win. Dolphins get to lurk on their play call timing, so they can get the play to the quarterback at a reasonable amount of time, so they can get to the line and not stand there for 3 to 4 seconds past zeros in the play clock. And then let's look at the playoff. Like there was like 5 or 6 times at least.
See, the refs weren't calling it because they knew it was a rookie in there. They're like, all right, it's a rookie. Let's just kind of give him, all right, we'll give him a couple extra seconds,
Usually once or twice, I'm okay with that.
Right.
But the amount of times they let that happen, and then all of a sudden, that Mike McDaniel check a timeout. Oh, there's another timeout.
I always found that to be weird.
It is super weird.
Like that's across the NFL. Like it's a delay a game. And then they're just like, we'll award them the timeout. Like, no, that's not how this works.
Right.
That's a like if we go through a play and there's a holding penalty, can I just be like, oh no, I called a timeout before that play? Like, oh, okay, you're good. Yeah. It's like, what are we doing here? That's a 50-yard penalty for pass interference. No, I called a timeout before this play. Oh, okay, all right, you're good. Like what? I find it very weird. Because sometimes when they do that, the coaches really aren't even calling timeout. They're just like, they're just awarding a timeout because, he asked nicely. So I'm like,
right.
It's a weird flex, NFL. So let's get that one fixed.
Right. Absolutely.
While we work on that, we can work on roughing the passer calls because holy shit. this we cannot go into next season with this shit. We cannot. Mm-hmm. Like the Dexter Lawrence, I think Dexter Lawrence hit on Kirk Cousins as the Vikings are going to drive down the field to try and win the game.
Terrible call.
Oh my God. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
Like, what more do you want defensive players to do to get to the quarterback? It's
like, I didn't know Kirk Cousins was a quarterback they protected all the time.
Right. And like, I'm telling you right now, the Bills got to be careful because I think one of the big things that is going to be a big part of the Bills game against the Bengals is the pass rush, but they got to be careful. Mm-hmm. Like I know you can get to Burrow and you're going to have to win this game, but like you can't give up free 15 either. Like if I was McDermott, I'd be going to the refs and just be like, you need to lay out the game plan for me right now. Like, are you throwing these flags or not? Like, because I need to tell my boys if they need to lighten up or not. Like,
right.
Because I'm not giving the Bengals a free 15 every time we hit them.
But I feel like the Bills have actually been pretty good on roughing the passer calls though lately. Like I don't know where to find this statistic at, but I feel like they're probably one of the least penalized teams for roughing the passer.
Yeah, that's a stat that I do not know off the top of my head. But I mean, when you watch a Bills game, it's not something that you see pop up very often. I mean, to be fair, Matt Milano murdered Mike White on live television. There was no penalty there. But that was a clean hit. Right. So I guess they're just good at clean hits. You stay low. It's
when you fold them in half and then you let them fall to the ground and on their own, it's a clean hit.
Yep, it's a clean hit. That's all that matters. You can hit them as hard as you want as long as it's clean. But you can't roll him over if you're Dexter Lawrence. So you can't just kind of like roll him over onto the ground as you're like mid tackling him. No, you just have to let him fall on you or something. I don't know. Fix it. Fix this shit, dude. What happened in the wild card round for the Seahawks? They lost to the 49ers. They had a 1-point lead going into the half, and I was talking so much shit. Like, I was on Twitter, Facebook. I was messaging people. I was like, oh, my God. We've stopped the count. We won the game. The game's over. Seahawks win. End it. That's it. Call it. Naturally, the second half happened, and the 49ers proceeded to shit on the Seahawks in every degree of the game. It was not good. The first half was kind of fun. I mean, we scored all 17 of the Seahawks points in the second quarter, so the first quarter was not good. But, defense stepped up a bit. Offense really stepped up in the second quarter. And then the second half, my God. We're kind of putting some pressure on the 49ers because we're in the red zone. And then Geno gets strip sack, fumble there, recovered by the 49ers. I mean, I think the last 4 drives for the 49ers in this game resulted in touchdowns. Defense couldn't stop anything. I mean, it wasn't. It looked like a scrimmage because of the amount of yards gained on every play by the 49ers in the second half. I mean, it wasn't even they were just like picking them apart. It was literally just like, oh, there's Debo, 30 yards. All right, Christian, you take it. All right, that was about 60 yards. Okay, cool. And then we'll just go, whoop. All right, touchdown. Cool beans. Good job, everybody. Like, it wasn't even, they weren't playing defense.
Right.
And then on offense, Geno's just out here throwing interceptions, and they got a touchdown in garbage time at the end to DK Metcalf, but at the end it really didn't matter at that point. Yeah. So basically what happened was what we all expected. Seahawks lost to the 49ers pretty badly. So
yeah,
we won the first half. That's basically the Super Bowl for me. It was a good time. Showed that we have a little bit of promise there, and the season is now over for the Seattle Seahawks. You got one extra game out of it. It's kind of fun,
Yeah.
You got to experience one extra game, which a lot of other teams in the league do not get to experience. So, I mean, I told my wife right at the start of the game, I told her, like, this is the most least stressed I've ever been for a playoff game. It was like, if they win, then, like, oh my God, no one expected that. That was awesome. But if they lose, we weren't even supposed to be here in the first place. And we lost to a much more superior team. Like, going to work tomorrow and be like, haha, the Seahawks lost. Like, yeah. Yeah, okay. Just like everyone knew they were gonna, like, all right, cool beans, man.
Right.
But yeah. Now the Seahawks are gonna have an interesting offseason. Just to kind of roll into, we'll finish with the Bills Bengals talk for the divisional round. But since the Seahawks don't have a divisional round, just a brief chat on their offseason. They have to decide what they're going to do with Geno. I have a feeling they're going to re-sign him. Just kind of based off of the talks, the way everyone's talking. Geno wants to be there. Pete likes him. It's just I think they just have to sit down and figure out, like, what's Geno's number. And if he's really going to walk in there and go, I want $40 million a season, I don't think Pete's not going to do that. He knows that that's not going to work. So,
right. I know there was talks of a franchise tag for Geno too.
Yeah.
I think that puts him at like 30 million.
I think it's a little bit more than 30 mil for this year, but I don't know what the number is though. I'd have to look it up. I haven't been paying. I'm not a big I'm not a big off-season guy personally. Like, I watch to see who gets picked up, but I'm not sitting here like, oh yeah, well, if they sign him and they do this and they move this money and they do the signing bonus and the money, I'm not that. I leave that for the nerds, man. Y'all can deal with this ain't Moneyball, bro. I hire somebody else to do the numbers. I just want to know who's on my team. Okay, that's what matters to me. So they got to figure out what they're going to do with Geno, and if they're going to draft a quarterback. They have a lot of picks. I think they have like 5 picks in the top 75 or 90 picks or something like that. They have a lot of early picks. So if they make the right decisions, the Seahawks can make a giant splash and have a even younger team heading into next season, which could be a good or a bad thing. I don't know how long Pete's going to stick around for this rebuild, because if you have all these young players coming in with this amazing draft that you have ahead of you, how long is he going to be like? Is he going to take 3 or 4 more years to like bring this team up to like where it could possibly win another championship? Like, it's not going to be quick. Like, we're not just going to jump into next season with a bunch of rookies like all over the place and just be like, yeah, Super Bowl, baby. Like, it seems unlikely. So I would imagine at least 2 more years of rebuild before it's like, yes, this is a team that could probably actually really you consider heading into the season that this team can compete for a championship. So it'll be fun. I think this is going to be one of the more fun off seasons in Seahawks recent memory, especially with the draft, and they have the 3rd most cap space in the league right now. they did just sign Jason Myers to a 4-year extension. He's the second highest paid kicker behind Justin Tucker. 4 years, $21.1 million deal worth up to $22.6 million. Again, I don't know how that breaks down yearly. I don't care. I just know that we have a very good kicker on our team. We get to hang on to him, which is good. Having a good kicker is important. I think it's underrated. Having a good kicker is underrated. Because you get all these other teams that are like have bad kickers, and they're like, "Oh my God, if he just would have made one more kick, we would have won." It's like, well, I'm sitting here with Jason Myers, and he missed like one kick all season, so I'm happy. And that's just the beginning. Jason Myers is the first piece. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to a very thrilling offseason with all the cap space and all the draft picks. I'm looking forward to it. And we have a lot of time to talk about the offseason moving forward. But for now, there is still football going on in the West. Well, actually, specifically just the East now. We're fans of the East now. That's what the podcast is now officially just the fans of the East, because we have the Bills hosting the team that they faced not too long ago, the Bengals.
For only a short time,
For a very short time period. The Bengals.
Yeah.
How are we feeling? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, like where's your confidence level heading into this? Knowing that like the Bengals just played bad against the Ravens, but they always play bad against the Ravens. And then like the way the Bills played, like it was kind of iffy. Like how are we feeling right now? Because I feel like the confidence shouldn't be that high, but again, I could just that's where I'm at.
Right. I'm gonna say a 7.8.
Okay, that's higher than where I was. I was at like a 6.5, but okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel I'm very nervous for this game, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, it's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
It's like it's the calmest you've ever been the entire season. It's just like it's gonna be tough, but yeah, it's a dub. I don't know.
Right.
All right.
Like,
End of the show. There we go. It's
I'm so nervous that this is going to be Kansas City Buffalo 2.0.
Could be
from last year's divisional round, and I just don't know if I can handle that.
You were at my house when that happened.
It was
the emotions.
So stressful. Like we have it, we don't have it, we have it, we don't have it, we have it, we don't have it. It's over.
like the touchdown with 13 seconds left, like the Gabe Davis touchdown, the last one. Like we exploded. We're like, oh my God, it's over. We're gonna win, and then just like obviously 13 seconds happen, and then oh my God, I never experienced so many emotions in like a short time period.
Yeah. Yeah. So Bengals come to Buffalo. Bills are, I believe, 4-point favorites. I think is the current spread.
4 or 4.5. I guess it probably depends on your book.
Right. I will not be at the game, even though it's on Sunday. I'm okay with it. I'm just I need to be home in case anything happens. Something I think we talked about for the Patriots game and whatnot.
It's unfortunate, but it's just what you got to do.
That's what I got to do, and I'm okay with it. I can sit in my chair and be nice and warm, not in some crazy weather conditions that I'm hearing that's going to happen that weekend. So, yeah, I will take that as a dub.
That's my opinion on everything. It's like I'm sure being at games are cool, and every once in a while, like doing it once every like 5 years is fun.
Right.
But guess what? I'm at home. I'm warm. I'm eating whatever I want. I don't have to pay $8 for a beer.
That's a cheap beer.
Yeah, $8 was a long time. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. It's more like 12 now.
I'm like 15.
15 real. Oh my God, I don't even know what it costs these days.
It's insane.
Oh my God. Just imagine when the Bills get their new stadium. It's gonna be $20 for a Bud Light.
Oh, better be like a 64 ounce or something.
You get yourself like a specialty cocktail. Oh, you want a corn dog, bitch? It's gonna cost you a kidney.
But yeah, the Bills are 4-point favorites. Couple things that I matchups to watch here. I kind of took what I had from the last time this team played, and I think most of it still applies. I did reword it a little bit. Forgot to cut a couple pieces out of it.
I was wondering why the Bears defense had anything to do with this.
Yeah, I mean the 2 interceptions still applies.
Yeah, because we had 2 interceptions.
Because we had 2 interceptions against the Dolphins. But and then in the fumble by Josh Allen. So, Josh Allen's accuracy, I think, is still not something that we have to question. I don't think we have to question it as much as more or less what is Ken Dorsey telling Josh Allen to make the play call, and then what is Josh Allen's decision making in that play call when it doesn't quite look right and he's trying to not take a 8-yard sack. I think that is one that I think it contributes to one of the biggest issues that the Bills had last week. The Dolphins got a lot of pressure on Josh Allen, the Bills. I am not as concerned. I don't know why. I'm just not as concerned with the Bengals getting to Josh Allen as much.
I don't think you have as many prime, premier pass rushers. Like, there's no Bradley Chubb.
Right.
On you have Hendrickson and you have Hubbard, but
they're not Christian Wilkins and Bradley Chubb.
And I don't really know who they have. Do they still have DJ Reader up the middle?
I think DJ Reader is still there. Yeah.
I mean, if he can blast by Mitch Moore, like, that's the thing though. Like, you don't have to worry too much about up the middle. It's the edges that always give the Bills problems.
Right.
You're not going to have to worry about Reader, who is like the guy that usually, like, with teams with worse middle parts of their line, he's always coming up the middle, disrupting the pocket. I don't see that being a huge issue in this game for them. They just have to worry about, Hubbard and Hendrickson, which they're good. They're obviously, like, I know their names, so obviously they're good.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, they're not Wilkins, they're not Chubb, they're not, guys like that.
Right. So that will definitely be something to keep an eye on. The pass rush by the Bengals leads me to my second point. Is this Bills run game needs to be more of a contributor, because that is going to set the tone for that Bengals pass rush, whether or not they're going to be peeling off the edges trying to get to Josh Allen, or if they're going to have to contain to make sure that James Cook or Devin Singletary is not blowing past them for 10, 12 yards, or even 6 to 8 yards. I would take at a chunk.
It'd be nice.
It'd be nice. Something that I'm hoping I am remembering correctly from the beginning of the Monday night game that the Bills-Bengals had was the Bills did look slightly more balanced in that first drive. There wasn't all pass. There was a couple of good, solid chunk runs. Ultimately they led to a field goal, but it did look a little bit more like a balanced offense.
They took down the stats for that game, so I can't go back and look.
Oh, well, that's what it is. So what I'm remembering is correct then, because no one can prove it wrong.
No one can tell you different. What are you going to do? Pull the game film? No, they might.
But the balanced offense and the Bengals' injuries on the defense and the secondary is going to tell you how successful this run game is actually going to be. If the Bills can pick apart the secondary, that's going to open up the door for them to run the ball, chew the clock, control the game. And that is, I think, going to be a big factor against this Bengals team. the Bills have to control the clock. They have to control the time of possession. They just have to control the field position too, and that can, as much as you expect the defense to be able to, okay, that's your responsibility. You gotta stop Joe Burrow. The Bills' offense needs to do their part and just beat up on this defense and make sure they are continuing to score points, because this Bengals offense didn't look great against the Ravens, but they can get hot and they can just continue to score points. And it looked like it might have been that way on the Monday night game. We'll never know what really was going to happen that game due to circumstances, but it's you never know what you're going to get with this Bengals offense. I am a little concerned with the Bengals offense. Stepping down to my third point here, that the offensive line status is very questionable. Lyle Collins out, Alex Kappa out, Jonathan Williams. I think Jonathan Williams is the name. Jonah Williams. Maybe it's Jonah Williams.
Maybe it's Jonah Williams. That sounds like a name.
Yeah. No, he went down in the Ravens game and dislocated knee.
Ooh.
Cap is not something I don't think a lineman can really play through, as opposed to like Patrick Mahomes playing through it.
Dislocated knee is not going to be something.
Into place.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
Like that's going to be a little tender. So
yeah, Jonah Williams questionable currently. So is Alex Kappa's questionable. I don't know what their actual statuses are.
I think he was. Currently. I think Kappa was week to week, because he missed last week too. But the Bengals only scored 17 points against the Ravens, who they walked all over the week before in week 18. So it's like, what are we doing here? I think that's a big testament to the Baltimore's defense, and I'm sure the Bills are going to look at that film and see what they need to adjust on their defense. Hopefully they don't adjust too much, because I thought the Bills' secondary looked really well with Kyrie Elam out there.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be, I think I'm just hoping for a great game. I don't want a Bills loss to be a blowout, but if the Bills are gonna win and they're gonna blow them out, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
If I would take, I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, I feel like I don't know what to expect, because we've never really seen this matchup before,
especially not in these circumstances.
Right. Other points here I had was the pass rush being able to pressure Joe Burrow. We talked about offensive line injuries for the Bengals, and to me, that should be a good sign for Ed Oliver, Gregory Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, Boogie Basham should all be able to, and Shaq Lawson should all be able to, they should be able to feast on this a little bit here. And I think that if they can alter the Bengals' offensive game plan by being able to get to Joe Burrow, I think that's another step in the right direction for the Buffalo Bills to win this game.
That's my big one. That's the one that that's the one I've been thinking about like all day.
Right.
Is the Bills pass rush getting to Joe Burrow. Like the Bengals offensive line slowly got better as the season went on. Because obviously, the big talking point when the Bengals started their season like 0-3 or something was he got sacked like 20 times in like 4 games. It was ridiculous.
Right.
But obviously it's gotten better. But now, like we talked about with the injuries, and the Bills pass rush has stepped up a lot lately. It's obviously looking very good. I think that's a huge exploit that, you can completely shift what the Bengals want to do in this game, and you can should just be able to attack them. I'm talking like 6+ sacks, like double-digit pressures, all kinds of QB hits. I want Joe Burrow to be hurting. I want him to do the presser from an ice bath. I think I think that is very possible.
Yeah.
For this very young, talented core of pass rushers. And obviously get Matt Milano in there on a blitzer too.
Yeah.
He's obviously very good at killing quarterbacks. Let's do it.
I'm sure they'll use him and Edmonds on the occasional blitzes the rare blitzes that that they see him to do. So because the Bills they're not a blitz heavy team.
But when they do it,
look out.
They do it right.
They're
very good at it. So I that's my big one that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I that's if they can't pressure him, we're gonna have problems. And I would imagine that's Zach Taylor's game plan this whole week is probably like this quick pass game. A lot of misdirection to slow down the pass rush. I'm not even talking like they actually have a good run game. I'm sure they will try to use the run game, but that's gonna be the Bills' run game defense has not been stellar as of late. It's not the best. So I'm sure that's already a plan that they're, that's a direction they're already heading. But that's only one aspect of it. Misdirection and quick passes, I'm sure, is going to be another heavy part of their game. I don't expect to see a lot of deep shots, although the Bengals do like to take their deep shots because obviously they have Chase and Higgins. These are all guys that love going deep. I don't know how successful they're going to be doing that.
Right.
Just not because of the secondary. Well, obviously the secondary is very good. It's because of the pass rush. So not going to give him 3, 4, 5 seconds to sit there and wait for routes to develop. So.
Yep. Yeah, it makes sense.
That's kind of what I see, and that's why I think the Bills will win this game. But I do imagine this stays close.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be close. And if I had to, I kind of have 2 favorite bets here. I didn't write them down, but I just, I have been thinking about it a little bit. I do like the Bills to cover the spread. I will take the 4 points there. And then I am 1,000% sure that Damar Hamlin will be on the field during introductions in the pregame, and that place is going to go nuts.
Is that something I can actually put money on?
I don't think so.
No, probably not.
I don't think you can. He wasn't at the Dolphins game. He tweeted that he was going to stay home for that game. Obviously still recovering from literally stop being a human from being
That takes a little while to recover from, to be fair.
Takes a little bit, it's a little bit of a slow recovery. But I think because it's the Bengals, this is going to be the ultimate hype that the Bills can do to get that crowd pumped and just try to give them the extra edge. Hopefully not give them too much emotion and they don't keep their heads on straight to play the game. But I think that's a very, very good chance that happens on Sunday.
Yeah, Damar Hamlin's GoFundMe is up to, it's only $50,000 short of $9 million.
Wow. I
just sneezed. That was bad. Okay.
Oh, gee.
But yeah, almost $9 million on his GoFundMe.
That's crazy.
That's wild. I kind of want to hear what he's going to do with it. I think he already say he's going to spread the money around for other places?
I think so, yeah.
Because almost $9 million just for an original toy drive. Right. I'd imagine he's probably going to spread that around a little bit. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of toys.
Yeah. So that's what we have to look forward to. When's that game? That's the early game on Sunday.
Sunday at 3.
Sunday at 3. And we have 49ers Cowboys Sunday night.
Yep.
We have Chiefs Jags as the early game on Saturday, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And then that gives us Eagles Giants as the Saturday night game.
Yeah.
What's your upset pick? Because you obviously know not all the favorites are going to win. There's going to be an upset.
Right.
Which one is it?
I want to say Jags over Chiefs, but I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems unlikely.
I weirdly like Giants over Eagles. I'm
in the same boat. Man, doesn't it just feel like the Giants are playing so well right now?
Yeah.
And the Eagles,
it really
Jalen Hurts was hurt, and then like he came back in week 18 and like he played okay, and then they had a
Okay
week
against third
off.
stringers.
Like it just
Right.
seems like there's not like they don't have a lot of like this right now, you know?
Right.
Like they didn't finish. Like he was out for what, like 3 weeks.
Something. Yeah.
Like this offense hasn't played with Jalen Hurts like well in pretty much like what 5 weeks total now.
Mm-hmm.
Played one game together and they played like crap against backups.
Right.
And now they have to go against a like streaking Giants team. Boy, it's going to be a violent environment in Philly. You know, for the 1 seed, they got to go there, so that might give them the edge. But like something just tells me, man, like if there's gonna be an upset, I don't see the Cowboys beating the Niners in any degree.
No, I don't think so.
The Bengals upsetting the Bills, like we obviously just talked about that for a bunch. Like, it could be a close game. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Jacksonville would be fun. I just see. That's my blowout game. I think people are gonna want to have fun with it and be like, oh yeah, Jacksonville the upset. No, it's not gonna happen. Like the Giants, just the way they've been playing lately.
Yeah,
I'm on the Giants right now. Which if my parents listen to this podcast who are Eagles fans, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just giving my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe the Eagles win by 50. That would be great.
that's very possible.
But I'm just giving my opinion. So it'll be a weekend full of pretty fun football. 4 games total. We are winding down this season very fast. We only got 4, 5, 6, 7 games left in this entire season. Man.
Yeah.
Makes you reflect a little bit.
A little bit.
Back when it was like week 2 or 3, you're like, oh, this feels so fresh, so good to have football back. And now it's almost gone. So sad. But as we all know, the XFL's coming up. The USFL is coming around for season 2. We got an entire offseason of NFL action. It's still gonna be fun. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna make it through this together. We can do this. Plus, golf's gonna be back too. So
but
we can go out there and play some golf. That obviously helps.
Yeah,
Helps numb the pain. But for this episode 19 of Fans of the West, thank you for listening on whatever podcasting platform you listened on, or if you watched over on YouTube at Derf and Dylan. We appreciate that. We have been your hosts,
Derf
and Dylan. Go off season.
Go Bills.